If you are currently out of the workforce but would like to re-enter, there is a program that can actually help you do it successfully. Utah is home to the first public return to work program in the country. It's called Return Utah, and its focus is to fill state jobs with individuals who have taken a career break for any reason. Utah's Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson will tell us more. It's always a good day to have the Lieutenant Governor in Studio 5. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Great to see you. I confirmed you got a good nap after the legislative session.
A little bit of a nap, yes.
A little bit of a nap, and
Yep.
we're throwing you right back in it. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Well, you are the driving force behind the Return Utah program, which was launched, we should say, in April of 2021. But you've made an exciting change recently in that you can hire at any time. It used to be there were periods of time during the year when you would take these return to workers. I'm sure there's a better term for that. What excites you, Lieutenant Governor, about this program?
Well, what I love most about this program, other than the fact that it's providing opportunity for people who maybe would be overlooked really easily by potential employers, is the fact that no other state does this. This is something innovative and new that the state of Utah has created. We're leading the way, and now other states and even other employers are starting to look at our program and say, how can we do the same thing? It's a great opportunity for people.
Let's break down the nuts and bolts of it. And because we're a woman's show, my mind goes to that mom who had maybe a gap in her resume. Who do you see this program being successful or a good fit for?
Well, it's a good fit for anyone who's been out of the workforce for at least a couple of years, right?
Okay.
But as a returner myself, as someone who spent 13 years wiping noses and bottoms, right, which that's what I wanted to do. I took a big break. I didn't really know how to get back in and had to figure that out on my own. So when I became Lieutenant Governor, I wanted to make sure that I was giving an opportunity to someone in a similar situation to get their foot in the door, to get some current experience, something relevant to put on a resume. Maybe I didn't have a place in my staff for a full-time person, but we do have internships. So we came up with this idea of maybe having a returnship, someone who's had previous experience, who's been out of the workforce that needs to get back in. And why don't we have something for someone like that? So it started out just maybe one person in my office, and then I had the idea, you know what, we need to make this bigger. We need to do this throughout state government. So I talked to the governor, he told me to make it big, and that's what we've done.
Isn't that a good those are good marching orders.
Yes.
Make it big,
Yes.
make it big. So now the program's spread across a number of different government entities. And give us the nuts and bolts of it. You can apply. It's how long does the program run for?
So anyone who is looking to get back in the workforce, and we're talking, of course, stay-at-home parents, maybe people who've been retired or been unemployed or underemployed or military spouses, they can go to returnutah.org and they can find these internship or returnship opportunities in various state agencies. There's also now some private sector people who are starting to do this as well. Northrop Grumman, Goldman Sachs, there's a few others and others who are interested in doing it. There's also a learn to work option. So if you're not ready to just maybe jump back in the workforce, and we provide training and mentoring and that sort of thing too. But if you want to go back to school, we have a learn and work program track as well, where you can go get upskilled, reskilled in some of those critical job training opportunities through our universities and tech colleges.
And what's the timeline commitment? What's the duration of this
It's about
returnship?
16 weeks.
16 weeks paid?
Paid, yes. And that was very important to me that these are paid opportunities. And we've had nearly 100% job placement afterwards, sometimes in those positions that they get hired as returners for, sometimes in different state government positions, sometimes in the private sector. But we've met incredible people through this program. We've uncovered gems that have helped us just as much as I think we're helping them. And these are people whose resumes would probably have just been overlooked without kind of rethinking what it means to be qualified to come to work.
Without that lens shift. I think also of that returner who may not have naturally matched themselves with government work to begin with. So it seems like it's an exploratory success story all around.
Absolutely.
What do you hope at the end of this 16-week returnship, I like that term, what do you hope, let's say the women walk away equipped with? What skills do you hope they take away from this experience?
Well, they're going to brush up their skills on all sorts of things. It depends on where they are.
Sure.
So in whatever agency they're in, they're going to be tasked with a project. So they will have some project management. They will have an updated resume and headshot. And they will have they have learning opportunities through a cohort of people that are going through a similar program as them. And there'll be a lot of hand-holding, but there's also a wonderful opportunity, and I think this is what's so important, a wonderful opportunity to step outside a comfort zone. You know, anyone who's been home or out of the workforce for a while, we kind of have a little bit of a comfort zone. It's tough to step out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so beautiful about this, is you're in the same situation as other people who are stepping outside of their comfort zone. You can be there to support and uplift each other while also doing something really meaningful and specific to the agency that you're a part of.
I love that. And because you've been there, you described yourself as a returner after many years spent at home. It does take bravery, doesn't it, to step into that career space again and try to, you know, converse with adults and have those professional conversations. How can we garner that bravery as women as we make this transition or take that step?
Well, I think the very most important thing for women to do, especially if we're talking about women, you gotta be brave and you've got to eliminate the shame. You're not the only person in this situation. There are a lot of people in a similar situation, and it's easy to internalize this and think, okay, well, I'm just not good enough. I don't know everything yet, so I'm going to hold back and wait until I know everything about this before I take a step. Take that step. Every time you take that step, you'll learn. You can learn along the way. That's what I did. I'm Lieutenant Governor now, and I didn't know everything about all of that stuff before I became Lieutenant Governor. It's just taking those steps, despite the fear you might feel, is the very most important thing. Find people who have been in similar situations and garner strength from them.
Well said, well said. The Lieutenant Governor will share 2 more suggestions for women returning to the workforce when we come back on Studio 5. Stay with us. I'm back with Utah's Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. She is the driving force behind the first public return to work program in the country, Return Utah, as it's called. And she's sharing her advice for women who are looking to relaunch their career. And you come at this from a personal place. You said 16 years out of the workforce?
Well, about 13.
About 13 years. Your first job back in was?
Well, it was actually volunteer. I started volunteering for a political candidate who was running for office. And so I made phone calls. And one thing led to another. I became his political director, then his campaign manager. I did a year of unpaid work. Got a lot of experience, but it was unpaid.
Yeah.
And then I ran his political operation for about 4 years from my laundry room in Spanish Fork.
There it
I had
is.
5 kids at home.
There it is. And we talked before the commercial break, Lieutenant Governor, about the bravery it sometimes takes for women to put themselves out there. Did you feel that in that moment when you were extending yourself toward this first professional opportunity post those motherhood years?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I almost didn't do something that scared me, making phone calls. I was worried about people yelling at me or telling me no. I was worried about a lot of things. I was also, frankly, when I ran for the state Senate seat in 2012, I didn't have a college degree. And I was afraid people would find out. I was afraid that somehow that would make me look bad. And then finally I had to embrace my experiences and understand, get over the shame, understand I wasn't the only person in that situation. And I graduated last year from Brigham Young University with my bachelor's degree in history after 28 years. But I think women need to make sure that they're overcoming those internal obstacles, right? And then figure out what it is they want to do, what interests them. I would love to have more women apply to our Return Utah program. They can go to returnutah.org and they can see all of the opportunities that are available. And this is a continual process. So we started this new enrollment, kind of an ongoing enrollment. So if you don't find something on the website today that interests you, check next week, check the week after. There are things that pop up all the time. And taking those steps, going back to school, reskilling, just stepping into that unknown, I think is a really powerful way to get started. And who knows what doors will open up.
We often hear the term networking when it comes to those professional opportunities, which I think can fall under the umbrella of intimidation, like even just opening your mouth and bidding, right, or saying what you want. But you encourage women really to vocalize their goals, their ambitions, start talking to people. That's the first way to open a door sometimes.
Absolutely. I think that the power of women supporting other women especially is incredibly important. A lot of these spaces that we walk into in professional settings are men's spaces, if we're being totally honest. And it can be really scary and intimidating for women to feel like they can be bold enough and brave enough to open their mouths, to speak up. But it's important, and there's power and safety in numbers. So the more women that are choosing to step into those spaces, the better it is. And I feel really strongly that there's plenty of room at the table, and we have to support each other. We have to have an attitude of abundance when it comes to other women.
I love that, attitude of abundance.
When other women are successful, we're successful.
Yes.
It's not a zero-sum game.
Yes, well said. Thank you for your advice. Thanks for sharing your story, too. A banner story, I think, for women looking to take that step forward. And thanks for the energy and efforts you're putting toward the Return Utah program. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brooke.
Good to have you.